We're Liv. Well, it says I'm Liv, but you're Liv too. So we'll live together. Awesome. What up, fam? It's been a minute since I posted, but it's been a full 60 seconds doing lots of good stuff. Life's amazing, and it's starting to really express itself. So, um, I'm just gonna share with you some channelings that have come through recently, even just as I was getting ready. I wanted to do a few things, but it's just the channelings I think is going to be enough. I'm probably going to do another, I'm going to do a tarot reading a little later because that's due. And I've got a couple of videos that I'm working on. One is on resonance and ascension and such like that. It's going to be fucking mind-blowing. And the next one that's coming in is looking like it's going to be on time. And that is going to be it's going to be the time of your, it's going to be good times. On that note, quick update for the, 5 people that are paying attention at this point. I love you. I have more than 5 people. It's like 6. I was going to put out a new channel, and I'm not going to anymore. Long story short, I got a really great astrology consultation with this guy, Mike. I don't know if you've heard of him. Goes by the Peace Dealer. What up? He's great. He's good times. Him and I really get along. But besides that, he's brilliant and divine. And I learned a lot from the consultation with him, so I would highly suggest it. And what he helped me realize was I don't need to try so hard. Well, really, the way he put it was, I'm not a Leo teacher, I'm a Virgo teacher. Grounding spirituality in facts. But because of the way my planet's aspect and whatever, there's not the impulse or drive to really put myself out there in like a, I don't know, like, I gotta teach this, instead it's more like, I'm here, I'm gonna do my thing. And for everyone that shows up, you're gonna get a mutual learning with me. So this is what I'm doing. It's what I've been always doing. And it's hard to have these, the sense of obligation and the sense of what we should be doing. Mostly because a lot of it isn't ours, but it's put on us, either ancestrally or culturally, and everything's connected. But it's never felt right to me. I don't want to convince anybody of anything, ever. I don't give a fuck. And what thrills me is teaching and learning at the same time with people. And all I got to do that is be myself. I'm really good at showing up wherever I am. So here I am. I took notes, yo. There's obviously a change. in the cosmos if I'm going by my notes. And I'm gonna skip some. That hasn't changed. But as far as this channel goes, you can expect some more lessons, learning together in a cohesive, put together way. Like I've been kind of planning, but I don't have no time for no extra channel or anything like that. Or to be more specific, that's not me. I'm really good in that way, working with people and collaborating. But I have one or two or three things that really thrill me that aren't this. So, I mean, this does, but you know, that's my intuition, anyways. But singing, dancing, goofing around, ranting, loving, that'll all continue. And I am gonna take it up a level. So that's fun. Expect that. That'll be fun. Speaking of expecting, and 6 minutes in, now we're gonna get to what the video's on. A few things came through to me, or as me, and I wanted to share. First, I want to talk about expectations because Uranus just transited into Taurus, and wherever Uranus is going to be surprise. It's going to be good times and the unexpected. But first of all, as we grow in our consciousness, what's unexpected? And we almost have to change the definition of it because especially for those that are more clairvoyant or whatever, really clear anything, we're getting impressions of what's to come. Not our plans as much as our outcomes. And it's beautiful, it's wonderful. And it feels like it could take the surprise out of life. Don't worry, it won't. I don't think. But there is a caveat, or rather a crevasse, that you can fall in once you start to get impressions of how things are going to play out, is that you think you have an idea about how things are going to play out. So you do the things that you think will create something, and I don't know about you, but this last few years, having an idea of what I want and then not really seeing it manifest, it's like, well, what the fuck, right? It's like we're trying to micromanage our time, and fuck that, we're like conditioned to do that. That's what school try to teach me. I was no good at it. I failed time as a subject. But doing the unexpected is powerful. Discovering the unexpected is powerful. And this has to do with how you jump timelines. To relate it to more than one kind of movie or pop culture type thing, I don't know, I'm really sci-fi fantasy. So it's actually a pretty common theme collectively. But like the idea of you can change your destiny, you can change anything if you just, like, right now, do something that you didn't think you were going to do unexpectedly. But then if you think about it, it's like, well, how do I not know that like I knew I was going to do what I thought was unexpected? Aren't I in the same fucking timeline? It starts to get confusing. But let's keep it simple. To create outcomes that you're not expecting, is to tap into a stream of thinking, otherwise known as a timeline, that you're not presently in. Like if you were to keep doing everything the way you are doing everything, then you can reasonably expect what will happen. But if you want is outside of that expectation, or rather, if you want, if what you want is not insanity, keeping doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, then you got to do something differently. And to put that into context of like manageability and choice is as you get these impressions of an outcome that you want, to do something unexpected is to really do what you, or the old you, right? The you that you don't resonate with anymore, do what that person wouldn't do, but the person that you're becoming would do. And that's how you hop timelines. Well, that's more specifically how you hop towards better timelines. Better for you, in your opinion. The challenge here, especially at this time where awareness might seem like it's sprinkling everywhere a little, but and it is, but what's really happening too is awareness is fucking downpouring in a few places. And if you're watching this video, chances are it's downpouring on you. So there's going to be a lot of resistance to the collective timeline, to what other people expect you to do, to what other people expect makes sense. And speaking from my vantage, I assure you, the best timeline with the most love, the most joy, the most adventure is really different. Cognitively, reasonably. It's like not even the difference between night and day. It's like the difference between night and ice cream. So you're going to get a lot of flack. And that flack is going to push, because it's attempting. We want like isness desires a certain amount of cohesion. And it's that collective timeline is trying to draw you back. It's trying to be like, do it this way, be this way, join us. And what you've basically got to say is, no, but you can join me if you want by doing your own thing. The great thing about that is when you definitely choose that better life, that better being, you aren't alone in that timeline. There might be some time adjustment, experience of time adjustment, but even that's speeding up. As we say, manifestations are occurring more quickly. But what can happen immediately is your sense of self and your experience of that and your own happiness, your own self-satisfaction, because your external life can be, albeit a lagged, but it's a representation of your internal life. And when you choose to do what is unexpected from really other people, or wouldn't be expecting that from you, but the new you is like, no, that's me. This is the me that I'm choosing. And it's going to create outcomes that feel surprising, because really we're not used to good things happening and getting what we want. and seeing what we visualized, achieving what we want to create. Because essentially every thought, even better than that, every plan is its own timeline. You don't have to share it with anybody, but the life that you imagine will be created by that uh, plan creates a whole another almost universe. Thing is, how how shaky, how flimsy, how likely it is to collapse into reality does depend on who shares that timeline. And they don't have to, like most plans, I want to make a business, I want to make a book. That doesn't need to affect everyone. It just needs to affect a few. But what's occurring is affecting everyone. So plan less, choose more, and follow through on your choices. I'm gonna do a little bit of reading too. Yeah, okay, this kind of goes in line. Responsibility to your life, it's scary. It can feel scary. But on the other side of that fear, that responsibility to life is glory, and it's ours. The truth is more wonderful than we've ever been allowed to believe. So to manifest in this new reality, truly, you must believe in wonder and love, because the new reality is wonderful and lovely. You have to expect miracles. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about making peace. Making peace with the worst case scenario dispels its power over you. Peace is made by accepting it as already true. So if there's a conflict in with a person, or really with a timeline, with or a situation, it can bring you down. And so you keep worst case scenarioing it, making your plans. Like, well, if that happens, what am I going to do? Because if something good happens, I don't have to worry. But we make our reality. If you don't have a plan for what's good's going to happen, then you're not going to do that plan. You're going to do the plan that makes sure your worst case scenario is covered. So really, it's not even like your intention and manifesting thought. No, you're literally doing the things that create the worst case scenario. So whatever that is in your mind, making peace with it dispels its power. And the way to get to that place internally is to truly accept it as already true. It's like to go there in your beingness and being like, I lost. It didn't work. The worst thing I can imagine, it happened. It's happening. What am I going to do about that? Hey, Champagne. And then when you do that in your mind, it's like it can be devastating. But remember, the worst outcome, like everything we're afraid of, is way worse fearing about it. And when it actually happens and you're there, let's go worst case. Yeah, it's shitty, but it's not really as bad as it was as you imagined it, because you can't possibly experience as much fear as you can imagine in your mind. So contrary to the popular law of attraction doctrine, it doesn't make it more likely to come true, you going to that place and imagining and accepting it. In fact, the opposite is more likely. Because as you immerse yourself in that worst case, what you're also doing is immersing yourself in possibility. See, when you go to the worst case scenario in your mind, you're like, this is going to happen. Okay, if this is going to happen, this is what it's going to be like. You will have to accept that it might not happen. It might not, because possibility is a part of what you're imagining. So you open the door, you open the window, you fucking tear the roof off of the box of doom. Because once you accept the worst case scenario as possibility, you have to accept other possibilities as like not as bad. And fuck, you might even like start to imagine the best case scenario. So truly, this liberates you from worry, because you start to relate to probability. Well, what's likely, you know? Oh, fuck, girl. I do a lot of astrology, and I'm one of the astrologies. It's really it's my astrology, not based on Western or Vedic or anything. It's just based on the literal stars in the sky when I was born. And I'm like Libra rising. And so if you can just shift your interpretations a little bit. You take on like the personality of the astrology when you're interpreting. So fucking seeing the literal star in the skies, being like, that's actually fucking roller coasters, right? I'm with you, girl. But that's because Libra, right? Yeah, man. You know what? I have no doubt of that. No doubt of that at all. Because I've seen some charts that are pretty straightforward, but nobody experiencing the roller coaster of reality right now has a mundane astrology chart. Mine's been fucking blowing up for show. And you're here, like, so I know that yours is too. All right, so because this is really important. Once you start relating to a probability, you liberate yourself from just one thing that you get stuck on. And getting stuck only happens in your mind, because you can only you're only imagining and then acting on the one imagination. And that's the experience of stuckedness. That's where it's happening. It's happening internally. So once you connect to probability, the whole situation becomes a little less personal, or rather becomes more personal, because you're personally connected to all the streams of what might happen. And then, so with that awareness, you can mitigate and choose. You're like, okay, well, that's the worst case scenario. That's the best case scenario. And then a choice, a fork in your experience arises that you wouldn't even have seen before, because the path towards the best case didn't exist in your reality. So you fucking can't walk down that path, but now you can. And that is our power. That's what we've been tried. That's what's been tried to been washed out of us. I wanted to say whitewashed, because so that's what I mean in that. But whitewashed is like racist or whatever. I always think of Huckleberry Finn. And so whatever whitewashed, yo. Oh fuck! I got distracted by racism. Right. All right. Because at last, I'm finishing this kind of point. The best case scenario is given equal opportunity for the choice of your attention. It might not be the most probable, but it's given the equal opportunity of your attention. So, and that power, that like internal focus or loci of focus, that's what makes people happy. Feeling like you have some control over your life. It's actually not even the fucking outcome. If the worst case scenario happens, but you're like, whatever, man, I tried my best, and you really know that, then you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna do the next best thing that I could possibly do. So regardless of whether you choose to view hope or fear, because that's really best case scenario and worst case scenario, is hope and fear. Neither has been given the power to decide you. Because at the choice of worst case and best case, you've already made a choice on a higher plane of existence. And that choice is peace. You're like, what? Worst case? Best case? I really want the best case to happen. That's gonna be fucking wicked. But you've already made the decision above that outcome to be at peace with yourself. So you win. Peace, at least. Moving on. I've been in different readings. I've come across guilt. Guilt's been coming up in the collective consciousness. So now I'm gonna this is a little personal share. I had a really revealing vision, clairvoyance, dream of a past life, and I'm gonna say past life, but I really mean is fuck it. That's too fucking complex. Let's go with past life. Where I was like a fighter pilot, which like I would imagine that's wicked. But I think like I crashed or something like that, and I lost the use of my legs or whatever, because the result was I think practically my adult life in a wheelchair, which makes sense a little bit to 12th house Scorpio. And in retrograde, like I basically, it's like it indicates towards my last life feeling you're either like you're in seclusion, isolation. So, I was like, maybe I was a monk being imprisoned. I was like, yeah, I was probably like up to no good. But being in a wheelchair for the rest of your life, when like before that you were a fighter pilot, that can feel like prison. And I realized that there was this guilt from this scenario because in this life I had a wife, like a family, and she was the best. She really took care of me, but not just that, like loved me. Like there wasn't even a difference. And this is this type of stuff that like, did I see that? Yes and no. Like it's a knowing, and I know that there was like a guilt part where it's like, yeah, having to be taken care of, but that actually wasn't my guilty, because it's also how it relates to my life now and what needs healing, what's come forward to be healed. It's that I didn't feel like I was able to give her the life that she deserves with me. that I wasn't able to do all of everything that I could do and would be willing to do, which is everything, because I was bound. Yeah, it's all coming up, not just to be healed, but to be integrated in a very, very real way. So stay on that track of, uh, like when, especially in this time, uh, like linearly, where fantastic things are going to start to happen more obviously. The best thing that you can do is when you start an intuition or an experience of something fantastic or weird or whatever, uh, pretend it's true. Instead of being like, maybe I'm just making that up. Maybe I'm not. Go there first, because then you scrutinize, you ask better questions, and then you get the best out of it. And also, you start to become super, because it's like, whoa, maybe I can fly. And then you start to float. Whereas if, you think you can fly, and then you're like, that's stupid. You'll never. Which sucks, because it's like in you, but you're just waiting. And then you feel like there's a part of you that wants to be and can't. So that doesn't have to apply to flying. That can apply to happiness and satisfaction too. So past life guilt, a little Ed Sheeran quote, love is the only thing we take with us when we die. To transmute anything, opposites differ or the same, but they only differ. Like the opposites are, like light and dark are shades of one thing, for instance. So they only differ by degree. So when experiencing my own healing or inquiring within myself and all of myself, I went, well, what's the opposite of guilt? And what came up pretty immediately was innocence. You're guilty. Innocent. So I was like, okay, well, what if, like, how can I'm going to put myself back there, not even now, but like, how can I approach that experience as, instead of feeling guilty the whole time, having a sense of innocence, because you know what, that's what I believe my wife gave me. 12th house indicates some past life stuff. Retrograde planets indicate past life stuff. Your 8th house indicates past life stuff. Capricorn and Pisces, a little bit, even just on their own, and it can indicate past life stuff. Good question. Thank you for asking, because I love conversation better than talking to a screen. And that somebody else is curious. And that's not even, and FYI, detest stupid questions. That was a specific question pertaining to what we're talking about, which makes it an awesome question, and I appreciate it. Virgo moon, Mercury, okay, so Virgo moon and Mercury, along with Lilith. And so I guess you have your North Node in Pisces. So your moon is your connection to your subconscious. I'm going to distinguish that from unconscious. Unconscious is like what you could be conscious about, but there are forces, external forces that work towards making you unconscious. It's like the world we live in. Whereas subconscious, you are aware of your subconscious. It just happens kind of beneath your level of everyday awareness. Subconscious is where we go when we meditate. Uh, and it's what lifts itself into awareness, and that's what grows your awareness. More of your subconscious is becoming uh, active, whereas the unconscious is shit. You're not. It could be happening out in front of your face, but you don't see it. So actually, it doesn't go from unconscious to subconscious to conscious necessarily. In fact, most unconscious things smack you in your face consciously, and then they itch at you, which means they're going to go into your subconscious, and then they rest there, and then they kind of oscillate between unconsciousness and subconsciousness, or it goes between subconscious and conscious as you work towards figuring that shit out and integrating it. That's really interesting. Okay, really in like a minute, Virgo moon, Lilith, Virgo Lilith, Mercury. Basically, you're being called in this life to Lilith represents where we hold shame, or where we think, or like inadequacy. So look at the personality of Virgo. Look up like what it means to have your moon in Virgo. Look up what it means, what the moon is supposed to represent at all. Do this for Mercury as well. Then do Mercury in Virgo, and then do all of that too, like Virgo 12th house. Then do Moon 12th house. Then do Mercury 12th house. Those are all different little searches that you're going to put together and start to relate and create an understanding of your pattern. I don't mean patterns in the fucked up way people use it derogatorily. I mean your place in the cosmic flow, right? Because that's what astrology is. It's like, well, all of this has been happening forever, and when you were born, this was like, if we stop the clock when you were born, these were the forces at play, and then your life is a continuation of those forces, and so you can relate to that. That's all a lot of like digging deep within yourself. What is really interesting, and I'm curious to look at if Mercury is retrograde or not. If it's retrograde, then it's a little bit more internally. Like anything that says Mercury is going to be more internalized, whereas Mercury kind of going out, not retrograde, is how we typically think of it: communication, thought, out into the world. But so look into all of that, and then do now you'll be like, oh cool, I'm like wicked at searching shit. Leo sun in the 11th house. Where your sun is where you're going to, where the light of your life is going to shine onto the other areas of your life. Leo is ruled by the sun, so that's really powerful. The 11th house is how you connect to like the cosmos, society. It's like, yeah, the 11th house in the nutshells would be like the collective. So without knowing you, the energy of Virgo, I would say, has a relationship with Because like my 10th house is Virgo, and I relate to it very strongly. Uh, it's like uh, earthly spirituality, grounded spirituality, and there's a lot of abuse towards that archetype. So you just with that stuff, and like other planets will make it more interesting, and then you'll learn more and more and more. Uh, but just this, there's a calling for going deep within and unraveling yourself, unraveling the pains, the secrets that you keep from yourself, not even just others, uh, and then tying in, communicating a little bit about that in whatever form you that vibes with you, and it could just be uh, like the in the your smaller circle of life, but with the Sun and Leo in the 11th house, and Leo's being really called to the foray of this shift. Uh, I bet that you are going to help heal and connect a lot of people uh, by sharing your truths and being bold and brave about it. And where Lilith is isn't necessarily where we might heal. It's we might always kind of feel that way, and living with that in a way that doesn't bring you down but brings you up is powerful. So I hope that helps. You're awesome. It's so fascinating. So to close the thing on guilt, uh, innocence is just love. Like whatever whatever dreams may come, whatever your experience of life is, it's it's the kind of love that isn't dependent on anything. It's I don't even want to use unconditional love, because there is that. But to be more specific, it's when I think of it, it's like a child's love. It's like, that was a shitty thing that happened. Man, we're really fucked. Man, that's really awesome. We're really blessed. All whatever. It's just loving. It's not even necessarily unconditional love. It can be you're a shitty lover. That's not how you love someone, but it can still be innocent. And it's like, well, shit, I'm just a bad lover, but I'm trying to be better. And so, because of that, and it's innocent, you do get better. So the antidote to guilt, because they're one and the same, just to how you feel about it. Because sometimes feeling guilty is appropriate. You should feel guilty. Uh, but then transmute it into innocence. Because really, if you feel guilty, chances are you didn't really mean it. Or you learned that you did something you shouldn't have done. And that can be shifted to innocence. Really random little channeling is like, men are typically bigger, and that's like the other connotation. That's also what I wanted to say. Is taller than women. Difference in strength is not true. That's a fallacy, and it's persistent because men are encouraged to do things that make them strong, and women are basically encouraged to do the exact opposite. In fact, there's even like that, like a fucked up mind thing where it's like, oh, I don't want to have muscles. I don't want to be muscly. FYI, muscles are hot, but really, women are hot. Like healthy, happy is hot, and like really happy, healthy, strong, even muscly, like strong females have like proper thighs, nice hips, booty, like just my opportunity to throw that in there. But just the quick channeling, it has nothing really the height, it has nothing to do with strength or anything like that. It's that everything is polar, and masculine represents more mental, and the feminine represents more solar and like soul creation, the roots, the heart. So when a man and a woman connect and like hug, his head goes over hers, her mind connects with his heart, and her heart connects with his essence, his being, and eventually they meet at the feet, so it all lines up. So just throwing that out there. There are people that are fundamentally different in ways that aren't recognized, because a lot has been occurs to hide the truth. And this has to do with like the chakras and what some people have and others don't. Like people call them soulless or portals, robots, portals, or anything like that. Anyways, NPCs. There's such a thing as fake psychic, and people in this way probably don't know that they're this way, and will certainly demonstrate like psychicness or what seems like intuition, because they're tapping into you or whoever's like that in their environment. They're very environmentally attached or connected. So they basically mimic the energies of soulmates. So, rather in relationships. So like, say I'm a man that loves a woman and we aren't together. The man that she is with will literally mimic me, no matter the distance, because whoever I'm loving is really how I would love her, until I'm aware and I develop my own defense. And then they're only left with how the woman feels about me. Now she could put up her psychic defense, and so he's not really stealing from her in that same way, but without awareness, because she's going to be mentally like experiencing her life in like higher realms with her soulmate or whatever. They can pick up on that and almost implant themselves into future timelines, or like imaginations, visuals, clairvoyance of the woman. But it's not really the robot, but she's seeing the robot in the visions, because that's exactly what he's doing. He's implanting himself. So just being aware is how you defend yourself. And that's how you avoid getting fed off of Kyo. All right, this next stuff is like super awesome. I'm just going to read it. We live in a free will universe. This is a real thing. Everything needs permission, but fear is its own consent. So we need to give permission for the good and the bad to occur. Afraid of being hurt by someone and acting in accordance with that fear, it does allow it to happen. Being afraid mentally or emotionally is all right, because it's form density, okay? So as long as it's discerned and processed, so it can be perceived truly. Fear in this way is temporary. Like, you're afraid of someone. Well, that makes sense. If you weren't afraid and they're scary, then you might die. So be afraid, accept, integrate, process, and then act. It's acting on the fear or acting out of the fear or the inaction because of afraid that basically dominoes into the material and makes space for it to be okay. So acting as if someone might punch you in the face, or like they wouldn't dare, or they should fear you. That's all actually fear manifesting. Now, all of this can sound a little Abraham Hicksy, like you've heard it before, but why I'm especially saying it is that it's so real in a way that people don't know. Like, reality bends to your will. And if you literally don't give your permission for something to happen, it can't. But it'll try and weasel its way into, and by consent, into your existence in lots of other ways. But with awareness, you get awesome at willing. Okay, last couple things. Smart isn't what you know. It's your ability to let shit go as you acquire new and retaining information. That's smart. Applying what you know isn't smart. That's discernment. Believing you know something certainly about a concept that you haven't perceived isn't smart. It's submissive. Believing you know everything about anything isn't smart. It is absolute stupidity. Believing in impossibility is not smart. It is ignorance of probability. Winning an argument does not mean someone is smart. It means someone is unwilling to commit to mental and emotional empathy. Being satisfied with answers is not smart. Smart is being satisfied in questioning. Smart is sovereignty, and shared sovereignty is unconditional love. That is probably worth like pausing and re-listening to. Last thing. This is positivity versus negativity. Positivity and negativity, like, because I was watching something earlier today and it's like, get rid of all your negative emotions. I'm like, I love my negative emotions. What do you mean negative emotions? They're not my positive and negative. They're not at war with each other. We need to be more specific. What is negative? So when something is negative, it's like, what does negative mean? It basically means what you don't like, right? Because do we love the North Pole but want to purge the South? Everything that is has gender and is polar. Genders do not always represent polarization, and vice versa. Opposites are actually wonderful. Opposites resist each other, and resistance is support, right? It's where I wear a belt. That's where I used to. I was really skinny my whole life. Growing up, that belt, resisted my waist, so it hugged it. Hugging is resisting not. Opposites can represent what is missing. And there is no unity that does not contain within it opposition. It's balance. And that's all I got for now. I'm going to do a really rare and awesome best timeline tarot reading a little later. And then I've got some really powerful videos coming up. you need to look that up, because that's worth looking up. And not one place is going to tell you the answer. Because once you find that out in your chart, you're going to find, you want to look at what is the yod even based on. MC, I'm not even surprised, because what my intuition was like, your potential to basically stand and before many and make a difference. Not understanding anything is the very first step towards learning something that you didn't know before. If you think you understand something that you don't understand, suffering. Others will suffer, you'll suffer, because it's not true. But it can be perceived as really comfortable. How about this, Champagne? I have my email in the description. If you send me an email describing what you've come to understand about your chart because of your research, I will look at your chart and add more to that. And that offer goes for anyone. I will certainly help you with some of it. But I want to know first what you know and what you think about it. Okay? And then we'll go from there. Champagne, thanks so much for joining me. It really made my experience. Yeah. Wicked. This is what community looks like. So I guess I'll end on this. All the fucking algorithms, search this, search that, none of it matters. How we find each other isn't based on how many subscriptions or likes or anything like that. No, you don't let the environment program. We find each other. We find each other because someone else suggests something. We find each other because however you came across my channel, you're now going to send me an email, and I'm going to send you an email. And then, like, that's together. A little bit of effort and a lot of awesome. I really mean it. Thank you for joining me. Yeah. And thank you to everyone in the past and the future. What up? I love you. I love you all. I'll talk to you soon, and I'll see you. Namaste. I do love you. It's true. How can he love you? I don't know. Well, you know what? Impossible things aren't true. I love you.